Hey, everybody. Let's do this. I am so excited to talk about the Stardust Thief today. From the moment I saw the cover, I knew I wanted to read The Stardust Thief. And I'm trying to remember her name, Chelsea Abdullah, by Chelsea Abdullah. It's the first book in a series, I guess. I mean, um, this book just came out, so it's like hard to tell. Sometimes series get canceled, but supposedly it's the first in the Sandsea Trilogy. The premise and then once I read the premise, it only solidified my feelings about this book. Like I loved the cover, and then the premise, man, I just wanted to read it. So the premise is a thief who hunts and sells illegal magic with a jinn as a bodyguard. So I'm really excited to jump into this book. Well, I guess like I was really excited to jump into the book, to jump into the first chapter, and I went into it kind of hoping though that I wasn't getting deceived by such a beautiful cover and interesting premise. I feel like my lighting's weird today. Yeah, it is. Too bad. It's just gonna be weird. Okay, so I wanted to read the blurb. I've got it up here for you guys, especially since this is like a brand new book. So it says, neither here nor there, but long ago. Luli, I think that's how you pronounce it. Luli al Nasari is the midnight merchant, a criminal who, with the help of her jinn bodyguard, hunts and sells illegal magic. When she saves the life of a cowardly prince, she draws the attention of his powerful father, the Sultan, who blackmails her into finding an ancient lamp that has the power to revive the barren land at the cost of sacrificing all jinn. With no choice but to obey or be executed, Luli, Luli journeys with the Sultan's oldest son to find the artifact. Aided by her bodyguard, who has secrets of his own, they must survive ghoul attacks, outwit a vengeful Jinn queen, and confront a malicious killer from Luli's past. And in a world where story is reality and delusion is truth, Luli will discover that everything, her enemy, her magic, even her own past, is not what it seems, and she must decide who she will become in this new reality. Man, like it just I'm ready for this book. Like I seriously just reading that blurb and seeing the cover, like I just really I like am attracted to this book. Let's talk about the prologue and the first chapter. So that's all we've read. So the prologue, I'm calling it the prologue, but it says like the story of the jinn, I think is what it was called, and it wasn't called prologue, but so it just kind of gives a little brief history of the jinn so that we understand like where we're at right now, I guess. So it says we start or sorry. So I don't know why I said it says. I'm not reading the book. But so it explains that the jinn were created by the gods. They were like the gods' original creation. And but they wanted more power. So the jinn did, sorry, the jinn wanted more power and they started causing problems for the gods. And the gods are like, okay, you want more power? Well, guess what? We're also going to give you some consequences with that power. So with that power, they also like lost control over their magic and ended up destroying the world. And like I feel like in my head I'm imagining drilling holes, but I think like just their power just created giant holes in the land and like sunk the jinn cities and took the jinn with them. Um, and then yeah, I just have written down in my notes, and they sunk themselves and their cities. But then the gods after that, because they have this world where no one is around, or like there's nobody on the world anymore, the gods say, okay, let's make humans, but they don't give them magic. So there are some people that believe that faith in the gods will restore the land because it's been destroyed. And then there are This part was a little bit confusing if it's those same people who believe that or different people, but there's also people who believe that well, I guess there's hunters. Let's see if that was a belief or not. Um, oh, the way that it's written in the story, it makes it sound like this is legitimate, not just what people believe. Sorry for the confusion. So the only reason that nature even still exists after all this destruction is because hunters go and hunt down jinn and find and then use their blood to do magical things. It didn't really explain it. This section, if you guys read it with me, if you didn't, it's in the description, but if you did read it with me, it's just like, and I think it's a page long, if that. So it was very, very short. And then that's it. Like it says, oh, and we find out that at the very end that it's a story that man, I forget the name. It's our main character, but she has two names. It's slightly confusing, but not that bad. But it was her mother that told her this story all the time. Um, so um and then we go into chapter one. So in chapter one, we meet Luli and her Jinn bodyguard, Kadir. Sorry if I'm pronouncing these names wrong, but that's just life. So they're meeting a merchant called the One-Eyed Merchant who wants some magic from Luli so that he can heal his eye because he's one-eyed. So she makes the sale, and then that's kind of it to that scene. And then there's a flashback where we find out that Luli's parents died. And I guess the blurb makes me think that they were killed, but it doesn't say that in the text yet. So I'm just going to say they died and leave it at that and not make assumptions. But let's see. Find out that that they died and they were died. Find out that they died and that Kadir, her Jinn or her Jinn bodyguard, I don't know if he belongs to her necessarily, but that Kadir takes care of her or took care of her afterward and like pulled her through the desert and helped her survive. And so it seems that that's kind of how their bond started. I'm not 100% sure. But in this flashback, we also have an introduction to a little bit of the magic. So besides the Jinn blood being magical, we also learn that there's this thing called I don't remember what it was called. It might have just been a coin, but it seems like it's something that the Jinn have. And it's like a truth coin that if you can ask the coin a question, and when you flip the coin, one side of the coin is yes, the other side is no. And it seems like it is actually like legitimate, not just 50-50 chance and like you're the Joker and you just do whatever a coin says. It seems like it's legitimate. I know it's not the Joker who does that. I forget who does that. Somebody does that. Seems like something the Joker would do though. But anyway, so maybe that was that Two-Face that does that. That would make sense because the coin has two faces. I don't know. Anyway, that's we're getting into weird different stuff now. So there's that coin. Then we jump back to the present, and Luli is no longer making the sale. She finished that, and the guy got his eye back, and Luli's just kind of hanging out on a ship. And sorry, I'm not explaining this very well. So Luli's just hanging out, and she overhears let's see, the one-eyed merchant who no longer is one-eyed, you know, it's two eyes. And like one of the Sultan's guards talking, and they start talking about how the Sultan has found an artifact and or like an ancient relic, and that supposedly the relic will help him take over the jinn. And the blurb says it a little bit differently, that it will destroy the jinn. So I'm like wondering if they just haven't figured out the truth yet, and this is like a little seed, but I don't know. That's what they gave me in the first chapter. And then Louis and Kadir decide they're gonna find it first. And then that's the end of chapter 1. So my thoughts and feelings so far about I just read the name of the book, The Stardust Thief, based on the prologue in chapter 1 is I really enjoyed it. And even though like the before the flashback, it was just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna sell this thing. It was really entertaining, really fun to watch, really enjoyable watch, really fun to read, and really enjoyable. And I really like both Louis and Kadir. And I'm already interested in this world, and I definitely want to read more. And so um, easy. I'm going to go ahead and make predictions. So Kadir is going to get. So my first prediction is that Kadir is going to get caught as a jinn. I think. I just think with all of this talk of hunters and the Sultan wanting to take over the jinn or possibly destroy the jinn, that it's just a matter of time before somebody important realizes what he is. Um, so number two, I think Luli will not give the lamp over to the Sultan once she finds it. I think that she's gonna be doing something with it. Um, and number three, based on just the blurb, because this wasn't really in this first chapter or the prologue, I'm thinking that the story at the beginning will be a lie. So the prologue like just kind of explains it all, and but then in the blurb we get a ton of like story is reality, and she'll have to find her own story in reality and all this stuff. And I just feel like it's not going to, like, the reality that we were given is not necessarily going to be reality. And that maybe even reality could be changed. I don't know, but we'll just have to see. I think it's a lie. Number four, in the similar lines, I think that those truth coins are actually not really telling you the truth. I think they're telling you a truth, or maybe better, a way to explain it would be like your perception of the truth. Um, so they so, like, for example, she says, I'm not alone. And she flips the coin, or no, she says, I'm alone. Um, in the flashback, she flips the coin and it says no because she's with the jinn. Um, and that's kind of, but it could also be her own feelings that she doesn't feel alone because of the jinn. Because you can definitely feel alone when you're around other people. So, I kind of think that these coins are not necessarily truth, but perception. So we'll just have to see. It could have also been, well, no, anyway. Okay. So then the fifth one, the last one, my last prediction is that I think Aluli's parents were not actually her parents. I actually think she was adopted. Um, because in the blurb it says that I actually just want to look so I don't say it weird. Um, Luli will discover that everything, her enemy, her magic, even her own past, is not what it seems. And so and in the like the prologue where it tells us the story of the jinn, it says that the humans didn't get magic. So to me, that's saying that Luli is in reality Kadir's daughter, and her parents were not her parents. They were only adopted parents. And Kadir um, is, or sorry, and Luli is either full or half jinn. And I think if Kadir is not her father, her parents were definitely jinn, and they're dead. So the truth coin or whatever could say yes, but be talking about different parents. I don't know. I guess that was kind of like a two possible predictions and not one prediction that I'm solid on, but whatever, you know? Like, am I ever solid on these predictions? They're just made up and crazy. So, anyway, I'm definitely in for this book, The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. Um, it seems like it's just going to be really fun and a cool world to explore. Uh, Oh, excuse me. That's embarrassing. So, quick announcement. Next week, our first chapter test, our like whatever we call these things, first impressions, first look, is going to be The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I left a link in the description for the first chapter. And so you guys can read it along with me if you haven't already read the book. And also, you know, maybe I'm just doing the work for you. Come check it out. Either way, that's next Wednesday, June 8th, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Joe Abercrombie, The Blade Itself. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining my adventure, and I will see you guys next time.